whatever, right? Start to tier these things and start to move them around so that you're able to kind of capture what your favorites are. Because like during this time of year, what's going to happen is obviously the market is at highs right now. We've got a flat open. At this point for the next few weeks, what the market does is really of no concern to me because it's earnings season, right? The grind in the market has sucked because there's been no volatility, so there hasn't been very many plays. But now you're starting to get more and more gappers. I mean, look how many gappers there are today. There are more earnings plays coming out here than we actually probably have right capital to even trade. So you've got to be just super careful with all this stuff. But let's talk about this because we only get a few minutes to make this thing right. This CGC's got a big breakout here. If it can come here, man, this thing is already starting to make a move. Hopefully this thing can rest for a second. So you're breaking over two levels of resistance here and this trend line break. It's been consolidating since January, so that's really good, right? We want to see stuff like that. Man, when they go and they start to move like this, you can really get some good cheddar on it. This thing has good liquidity and good range, so that's why we like trading this one. We've always had, when it trends, we've had good success with it. When it doesn't, I mean, we just leave it alone. But, if you guys remember these kind of runs, it's good to kind of have CGC in your life. I like this team a lot for a potential short. You're breaking this trend line and also, multiple moving averages here. So if you can kind of hold under this trend line, you have room down to like 90. That's quite a bit, right? So, you've got room down here. It should have decent enough liquidity. I don't know if it's going to be epic liquidity. It did 3 million shares in volume yesterday, so I would assume on an earnings day you're going to have, double or triple that. So we should have the liquidity we need. So this SNBR looks pretty nice too. You're kind of breaking out of this, wedge that we've been in for a while. Also breaking out under the 50 SMA. You've got room down to 37. It's a retail stock, so that's the caveat on it. It's going to be like, what's the liquidity like? Can we get the proper entry? Retail stocks are not always the cleanest traders, but in general, this does have room to fall. I would hit this one on an ORB or a quick pullback buy. These things a lot of times are just getting dusted right at the open too. So, you got to be quick and you got to understand where, number one, your pre-market levels are, because sometimes they just ORB right under there, like they pop under and then ORB, and so you got to be really quick with the trigger. URI's got nice range already pre-market. You're breaking out over the 200 SMA. I think that this one should have a chance because this is essentially just like a bottoming pattern, and we have some room to run. I don't expect this to be like, right, it's not going to move like a small cap where it's going to be up like 30-40% or something, but it floats low enough where we should be able to get, dollars, if we see the setup, right? And that's the big thing is like, can I get into a pattern where I can nail, a couple points, right? Skeechers, this is kind of low level though because you got your 200 SMA here, so you got maybe $1.50 of downside on it. It's not the cleanest of gapper. That's why I got a little bit less on my list. PAGS is another one that's getting dusted on earnings. As long as it can hang out under the 200 SMA, which is 2580. So, right, mark yourself a little area here. That way, what happens is, like, when you have a key level on the daily market on the left side of your TC 2000, and then, what you can do is as long as it builds pattern under there, then you can take the trade, right? But you don't want to take the trade just to take the trade. STNE, man, this thing's been obviously fading off for a long time now. They must have had something going on today, but this thing's getting dusted again. Breaking under the 50 SMA. You got good liquidity already. 1.6 million shares in volume. I think this one's probably got some room to fall back and forth too. And then this Blackstone's gapping up on really news I didn't understand. It's not an earnings play. It's to become corporation for public trip partnership. Who knows even what that means, right? We're not mathematicians here, but this thing, we'll keep an eye on it. This thing could be like a thicker one, like a Qualcomm, where it gets dusted at the open and then it grinds back higher later because it's just a heavier float. The heavier float stocks do that sometimes. They get dusted at the open, and they kind of come back to a VWAP or 20 EMA and start to grind its way back. You know, we may have a chance on this one either way. Now, I want you to keep all these IPOs on the list because they're all basically, you know, in flavor right now. Yeti's about to break out. This TW should bounce. Now, you've retraced $5. Puffin is another one too. Like, you can see the dip. So this thing got dusted on the dip this kind of berry. I don't even know if it's a bear flag or bull flag, right? But it got dusted for 3 points, and then it completely rebounded. So when you see that, it's telling you that there's an underlying strength in this thing. I wouldn't be surprised to see this thing at, you know, $28, $30 soon. The issue is going to be more the liquidity. It did only 1 million shares, which is okay, but not ideal. Levi, JMIA, I think this one probably still needs to fall a little bit more. You know, yeah, you had one big down day. If it gets below this kind of 37 level, it should drop a little bit more, and then we can start to see, you know, where it gains traction. You know, hopefully maybe near 30 or 35, 32. You know, somewhere along here, we'll find, you know, it'll gain some traction, and then we could try for a rebound, especially if the SSR, which should be triggered on it. All these IPOs, all these earnings plays are good to go. Everything else, just throw it out the window for now. There's more than enough plays to focus in on. Remember, your job today is just to see, how can I gain a couple points on a stock, right? How can I get 2 points on a stock? Then, you know, your day is basically set. You know, so don't overthink anything. It's all there for the taking today. So let's go and do what we got to do. All right? Good. Yeah, you can put MBIO on your list. The issue with this one, beyond it just being a big turd, is that it's been fading off all pre-market. I don't like when they do that, because it's like now you just got bag holder city coming in. You have to start really clearing some levels to get over it. So this to me is not the cleanest one. We'll have to just see which way it goes. You know, you may be able to catch a couple points on it at some point. But I would let this one set up versus trying to just take it the first second, because if you take it the first second, you may run into some of these resistance points. But, you know, if it starts to hang out and just sits around near the VWAP for a couple hours, you'll probably see this bad boy squeeze at some point. So just something to keep an eye on. You know, it could have the range that you need. We just, we got to make sure that we nail it at the right spot. Dun. All right, and I think the Pinterest IPOs today, there might be another one out and about too. So just kind of keep an eye on those too. Rock and roll. Oh yeah, Zoom is the other one, huh? I thought there's already a Zoom company. Are they gonna exchange tickers? Oh, ZM. Cool. So put ZM on the list too, along with Pinterest. We'll get this party going. All right? Trade good today. There's a lot of plays. So just focus in on finding the trends and then riding them. We should be good to go. Even something like this Tiger might bounce today. So keep that on the list too. The watch list is big, but that's just the nature of the game during earnings season. Let's go do what we got to do.